My name is Diego Cuellar. I'm in 11th grade and I go to Riviera Preparatory School.
What happened that made you realize that you needed our service?
I knew that the SAT was coming up and that I had to prepare. And knowing that I had like a goal to meet for the score that I wanted to get, I realized that I needed tutoring. So I looked out to peers and to realize like the different options that I had. And my sister told me that she had a great tutor during the time that she was studying. So that's how I came to a piece of pie.
I always forget about that. I don't know why. And look, I mean, yeah, I was gonna ask your dad similar, like what's his take on that? But I'm assuming that's where it came from, right?
That's
You're
correct. And I'm trying to remember how did I got your contact information for my daughter, but I think
Lisa,
it
right?
was, yeah, I think it was, oh, it was, yeah, I don't know if it was through the school or who gave me your contact information the first time. Or it was a friend of Isabel, I guess, yeah.
And I think she had done some prep before, but at least for the math, it wasn't giving her what she needed.
Correct, correct. But I don't know how I got a hold of your contact information right now. I need to check with Isabella. Yeah.
No, it's all good. It might have been a
So,
friend posted on IG, like whatever, you know how it is.
yeah, yeah.
No, it is. All right, cool. And what was your situation, Diego? How are things going for you with math or the test prep, like before the tutoring?
So I had a little bit of tutoring through the school. They have a class in school, an SAT class where they tutor you, but it just wasn't the best because it was a lot of kids and it was like once a day and it was only 45 minutes. So I saw that I wasn't getting much done. So I realized, I got to get a different tutor, something separate out of school.
Yeah, for sure. And what about I mean, what about math? Because we do math mainly, right? Are you somebody who you felt like you were always good at math, or did you struggle with math, or which one were you?
I thought I was always better at math than
Nice.
others. So yeah,
That's what's up. And what math class were you in?
I'm in pre-cal right now.
You're in pre-cal, but before,
I was in algebra 2.
yeah, you were in algebra 2. So you were in algebra 2, you're a strong math student, but still you felt like, you needed something for this test in particular to make
Yeah.
that jump. So, and before you did tutoring, you had taken like a PSAT, right? Or
Yeah, I had taken a PSAT.
do you remember how you did on that?
I think I did somewhere around a 640.
On the math.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember differently, but
I think it was even lower. Yeah, I think it was lower.
510.
510. Okay, yeah.
I think the 640 might have been coming from the PSAT that I just took.
ultimately the thing is that you were a good math student. You were a good math student, and you still needed a little bit of a jump to get to the good math student score.
Yeah.
I guess is what it was. How could our program be improved for future students?
So I think maybe you should offer maybe like 2 classes per week for students that want to push themselves, maybe. Or you could offer like shorter ones, I guess, like 2 hours twice a week. Split it up maybe. To just check in for students that maybe really need it, or like different types of students, I guess.
The first recommendation you gave, though, was twice a week, both for. You caught that, right?
Yeah.
He was like, just twice a week for whoever needs the extra. I was like, all right. I was like, my boy's ready, bro. But I feel that, yeah, for sure. I feel like for some kids that probably be a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, some kids might leave it to the end of the week, just before the class, to do the homework, and yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've thought about that a lot, to be honest. I think about that every week.
Yeah.
Like, how do I make this easier, bro? I know
with
it's hard.
Diego, right?
What happened?
Not with Diego, right?
No. Well, when I say that, I say it in the sense of like, how can I make it easier but still obtain the same results?
Yeah. Or better.
I think everybody will be fine with that.
Yeah.
Same results, easier. Like, let's go. It's just hard. I don't know. Until now, the only method I know is hard work.
Yeah.
So, but thank you. That's it confirms that it's not just me thinking like, because we're actually trying to develop maybe a different an extra program, maybe that's twice. So, something like that. Logistically, it's tough, but it confirms that kids feel the same. I always suspected that, but thank you. All right. How would you describe our service to another student? Like, what should they know about the program?
I would tell them that it is rigorous and there's plenty of homework, but to be honest, the more work that you put in, the more results that you will see. So if you're not 100% committed and you don't put in as much work, then you probably won't get the results that you want. But to students who like decide to put in the work and do all their homework and stuff, at the end they will see the results that they really want to see.
Do the work.
Yes.
That's always the answer. How about you, Louis? What do you feel? How would you describe your service to another parent? What should they know?
Well, I think it's very good, Renan. I like the fact that you have those groups with the father or mother and the kid, just so that we know what's going on and that we're getting the value for our money, right? And we can see the progress as well, and just make sure that again my son is doing what he's supposed to be doing.
The WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah.
Did that ever happen where you I said something and he didn't do it? You were like, Diego.
A lot.
Yeah.
Did you appreciate it, Diego, at the end?
Yeah, I did. At times it was annoying, but it works out at the end.
It's your dad, bro. You gotta love him. Like, there's no, you know what? Like, you gotta listen and take his advice because they're always right. By the way, you'll find out later.
So no, I do like that you and your team are on top of all this, and I assume it's with every kid, right? Not just Diego. So I know it takes some time for you guys, but it's necessary.
It is. No, I think that's like at least 30% of it, maybe more. It's like having a coach at the gym or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not always you like to work out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I did nutrition. I have a background in nutrition. I could set up my own program, but there's a lot of times where I'm like, man, depending on where I'm at, if somebody's there telling me to go harder, I'm probably going to go harder than if I'm on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It's if you're doing sprints, somebody's telling you to sprint 3 times harder. You're on your own. You're more likely to just be like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm gonna stop at like 5. And then the other guys, they're telling you to do 10. You're going to do 10.
Yeah.
So it's similar. And that's so we apply the same logic, we got to motivate you guys. So, all right, good. I'm glad to hear that that's what I thought, but you're confirming it. So thank you. Diego, what was your expectation before you did the course? What was your expectation surrounding the group virtual environment?
So I thought at first that there'd be maybe like times where I would just like slack off and I wouldn't have to pay attention because it was like virtual and like, I don't know, maybe I'd get distracted and stuff, but that's not true. Like throughout the class, they were always keeping our attention and we had to type our answers in the chat. So there wasn't really a time where I wasn't paying attention, and that made it easy for me to keep being focused instead of like doing something else during the class.
Louis, did you have any hesitations about the virtual groups or no?
Well, I think after the experience with Isabella, I was happy in general.
Yeah.
At the beginning, perhaps, I didn't know how personal that was going to be or not. We also, when we found out that you were not going to be tutoring, we kind of had some concerns or stuff. But I think you proved that your system is good in general, and I guess if you pass the same expectations that you have to all your other tutors, then it works fine. Yeah.
Who was your teacher again, Diego?
For the most part, I had Mars.
Mars. Shout out to Mars.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, they're great. At the end of the day, it's also just the system too. Is like your dad said, it's just, I don't know, bro. Again, you put in anyone in there, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's gonna work, bro. As long as and I always tell the people, the parents and students, it just comes down to the student. It's like, this, you did all your work. You did most of your work, 90%. 90%. No, you did really well. So, if you do it, there you go. Then you get the result that you got, which, by the way, so what was the result that we helped you get, right? What was your final score and what was your total improvement?
So the first SAT that I took, I ended up getting a 710. And then on the second one, which was in December, I believe, I got a 720. So my overall improvement was 210 points from the PSAT.
Right. So you came in with the 510 on the PSAT
Yeah.
and got the 710. And then what impressed me more was that it wasn't a fluke. Right. You didn't get lucky. Like that was,
Yeah.
you are locked in because the next test you even got better, which was amazing, to be honest, which is a
Yeah.
month later after the prep.
Yeah.
So kudos to you, bro.
Thank you.
Like you're officially locked in at that's like 90, I don't know, like 93rd, 94 percentile.
Yeah. It's around there, yeah.
And now what are we going for?
Dude, eventually I want to get a perfect score. Like I know there's one test that I can just there's gotta be one test where I get a perfect score.
Not eventually. We're talking right now, bro. Talking March. That's what I want to. You need to believe it first. You need to
That's
believe
true.
it, bro. So you're getting an 800 in March?
I am.
Write that on your wall. That's what's up. And don't do that. Your dad will kill you. All right. So what has this result meant for you, or like enabled you to do?
So this just means a lot. Like it helps me realize that if I put in the work that I can get things done. And of course, I haven't applied to any colleges yet or anything. I'm still in 11th grade, but I'm sure that it's going to help me out a lot eventually or in the future.
Are you more relaxed about the fact that you already have a 720 on the math?
A little bit, but I still wanna improve plenty.
Man, you're gonna make everyone out there feel like like they're nothing.
Well,
Yeah, everyone at school tells me, "Oh, you don't have to worry about math anymore. Now you can just focus on English." But I'm still focused on math.
yeah, but you gotta focus on English too. That's the thing, right? Because he got a pretty low score on English, so we gotta.
We're gonna talk about that. We'll have a program soon. Don't worry. No. You're good, bro. But it's fine. Right now we're in it for math, and I respect that. And I'm very confident with what we're gonna do now. We're gonna have a special class. I don't know if I told you.
Can I ask you a question, Fernando? I know you are leading this, but
No,
what
yes,
do you
sir.
think? What do you think is possible for Diego to continue increasing, or because I know it gets more and more difficult, right? The higher you go. So
It does get more and more difficult because at this point we're battling against 6 problems, and those are the hardest 6 problems on the test, and we don't know what it's going to be. So the key here is to practice those 6 problems so much. You need to, if you want to get an 800, bro, you have to get to a point where you're master the test like a young Renan.
Mm-hmm.
A young me, you know, like, and I've you're not gonna get to the point where I'm at now because I've seen 40 tests, but it's at a certain point, it's not even anymore about just how good at math you are, but just how exposed are you to math, right? Like how much have you seen so that no matter what they throw you with, you're comfortable. That's one. And then 2, it's going to be speed. You're going to need all the stuff that you are good at. You're going to have to get twice as fast at it, right? Because I'll give you a little story. Side note, the first SAT that I ever took, there was one problem that took me 30 minutes.
30.
yeah,
In the calculator section. So you can imagine the surprising part should be that you had 30 minutes to do a problem, right?
Yeah.
So that section is 55 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is. Oh, wow. Haven't taken one in a while. But the key was that everything else that I did, I was so fast at. So, and that helps because if I had 20, I wouldn't have gotten it right. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain point, there's going to be 1 or 2. So realistically, Lewis, there's a good chance there's a really good chance he can get 750 plus. But it's really going to be up to him. And how, like, once you pass 750, those last 3, like the amount of work required is just the same you've put in. So you have to continue putting in the same work you've been putting in. You cannot drop your guard, bro. You can't come in here, relax. I already did the work. Nah. Same work, but just harder stuff now. Mm-hmm. And if you do that, we've had plenty of kids make it happen. In fact, plenty of kids 780. Very few get an 800. So 800 is going to be really tough. It's going to be I'm not going to lie to you. That's my personal goal, is to get almost all of you, like as many of you to an 800 as possible. We are doing Lewis a special class. I'm hooking it up. I will be the teacher.
Okay, that's very good.
On Saturdays, though.
Okay.
If you miss Saturday, you miss the class. I'll give you the recording, though. But it's going to be different.
How is it going to be different?
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. It's going to be whatever we've done times 10. Okay. New material. There's always ways to make it better. I'm going to make it more mixed, more like you've already seen everything, right? So I'm going to hit you with all the stuff in one class, like and all the hard problems. You're not going to feel confident in class anymore.
Is it just for students that already took one session with you?
Yeah, there's going to be maybe there's like two kids there that I'm like, they're already getting 700s. Okay. It's probably going to be like that. Like only if you've gotten a 700 before, or you've taken it with me and you got at least like a 650, 660.
Okay.
It'll be a group of 5, 6, just like top notch. And because I just basically it can't be anyone that's going to unfortunately, it's just going to be the hardest problems that I can find. So you will have plenty of practice. I just need you at home, because right now you've taken this X amount of practice tests. I need to get you into taking like 20, bro. Your goal is 20 plus practice tests in total before this test. Not like 20 now, but at least once a week, bro. 1 or 2 a week. That'll be your main homework, aside from any little extra hard thing that I give you. And I need you to really take them seriously, dude. Like take them like the real test. Like when you're done, check your work. I think people miss out on this. They don't realize that how you practice is how ultimately, like the way you're practicing, what you do when you're practicing is ultimately not how you're going to perform, but it will help you perform better, right? So one example is I have kids who finish early, and when you're taking a practice test and you finish early, a lot of kids I know, they're just like, oh, they just want to check their work. Mm-hmm. Did you ever do that? Did you ever have extra time and you just said like, I'm just going to check it?
Yeah.
You, with that extra time, should go back and check your answers and try to catch mistakes.
Yeah.
I bet you would have gotten higher than 720 if you would have caught some mistakes.
Probably. I double checked some problems.
And the only way to get an 800, I tell kids right now, from somebody who's got an 800 10 times, every single time that I got an 800, and I am the test at this point. That's how it feels. Every single time I caught 2 wrong answers or something like that. Like when I would go back, I'm like, oh my God, I added some dumb thing wrong. So the only times that our students have gotten an 800, they did 2 things. One, when they started practicing, taking their practice tests, that was the advice I gave them and they followed it. When they were taking their practice tests and they would finish early, because you will get to a point in our program where you will finish early, they use the time for real to go back and catch mistakes. And they began catching mistakes on their practice tests. They would catch 2 or 3. So they got good at catching mistakes. And on the real test, they came out of it and told me, Renan, I answered everything. I knew how to do everything. And I caught 2 or 3 mistakes. I'm like, you might have gotten an 800. If the student doesn't tell me they caught a mistake, I'm like, you probably didn't get an 800. You probably got caught. So that's and that goes to anyone who's going to be in this group of mine. I'm going to show them this recording, so I don't have to say it 10 times. Yeah. But for real, that's going to be one of the main, I'm going to say it like 10 times. That's going to be one of the main things that I ask you guys to do, is to like genuinely take each one, like if it's the real test, quiet, like, and so most of the students who got that 800 also, they were able to do it like a few times on practice tests.
Okay.
Like they hit like two or three at least on the practice test where they got an 800. They were like, okay, so it's possible. They didn't do it on every test, but they did it enough on the practice test that when they got to the test, then it happened.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough, but it is possible.
Okay. Thank you, Renan.
All right. So is there anything else that we should know, Diego or Luis?
I forgot to mention this before, but maybe like after the practice exams, like there was few where I didn't check my work, not like during the exam, but like just after I didn't go back and see the problems that I got wrong. I did it for most of them. Like there's like 2, I think, that I got lazy. But what really I think maybe would help is posting like an assignment like for test corrections, or we have to submit our test corrections. So it would make sure that I don't get lazy and not check them.
That's gonna happen starting this prep for sure now. Thank you, sir. It's funny
Yeah.
because what it was actually there was like yesterday, one of the students was like, "Oh, do I need to turn in my test corrections?" And I was like, "I've thought of this before, you know,
Mhm.
but we already give a lot of homework." So I'm like, "Damn, I have to throw." But I mean, it is part of it, right?
Yeah, it is. It has to be.
You guys heard it from Diego. Not from
Blame
me.
it on him.
Not bad. We're gonna do it now. All right, awesome. That was amazing. All right, cool. That's all. That's all I got. So thank you. That was really good. All right, Diego. So I expect you to go take a practice test.
I will. I'll get it done before Saturday.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll see you Saturday.